Welcome to our session. This is A Better Way to Partner, What to Ask When Choosing a Vendor. I'm Betsy Sewell. I'm the head of marketing at Aware. We are a governance, risk, compliance, and human insights partner. We are a premier partner, integration partner of Slack. And I'm excited to welcome Dan O'Leary from Box today. Would you introduce yourself, Dan?
You bet, Betsy. Happy to be joining you today. My name is Dan O'Leary, Director of Partnerships at Box. I lead partnerships. I'm a enterprise buyer of many technologies. I've implemented many of the technologies we're going to be talking about today. And I'm really happy to be sharing some insights and lessons learned from a 360-degree view of what it's like to pick a good partner and how to help you do it.
Great. Well, let's jump right in. Today, we're really going to dig into what to do to find a great partner. And as you can imagine, this is a very crowded marketplace in the Slack app directory, right? So we have over 2,000 applications that are in Slack, and it can be really overwhelming and just when you try to find the solution that you're looking for, there's a solution for nearly every possible use case in the enterprise. And you start to look through this directory and you see these different feature comparisons. It's all a blur. So how do you really find the best solution for the challenge at hand? Would love to hear from your experience what you do, Dan, to really get to that answer.
Yeah, I install them all. I test them all personally, and then I see how they go. No, that is not that is not it at all. I have found that there are actually a couple systemic questions and things that really any business buyer, any technology evaluator can and should be asking as they run through an app store, specifically the Slack app store, which has so many great apps. I think one of the hard things is knowing which is going to be the best one for you and how do you pick. So let's talk about it.
Let's start with the first question you might want to ask. What are the table stakes? What are the non-negotiables that you think about when you're evaluating a partner or, a vendor that you hope to become a truly great partner?
Yeah, I call this one like this is the Gandalf you shall not pass moment, because there's just certain things as an enterprise buyer that really any technology partner needs to have. But as an evaluator, you need to go look for, because this is going to save you a lot of time down the line. And I look for things, of course, like I'm going to look for a SOC 2, ISO 27001. I'm going to look for your data privacy policy. I want to see how my data that I share with you in Slack is going to be used, who owns it. It's critical. It's literally one of the first steps I make. And what that's going to do is help me understand, is the vendor that I'm evaluating, is the partner I'm working with, are they legit, right? Are they going to be not just a partner that looks great in the app store, but is this the type of thing I'm actually going to be able to buy? That's really important. And then also, how is this integration actually working within my Slack workspace? What fields is it accessing? What's the privacy of my information? How's the data going to be stored? How's the data going to be accessed? I know it sounds silly, but this, when I say table stakes, if I don't have these things, I can't even proceed from an evaluation. And for a partner out there building things, I think you got to make sure these are part of how you're building. And for customers, make this part of your evaluation process. If not, you're probably going to need it 5 or 6 steps down the line. So this is like almost a step 0 for me, but easily step 1.
Right. And you mentioned making sure that these vendors are legit. We at Aware, we've had so many customers who have come to us after trying other vendors who really promised the world to them. And then they come to find out they weren't even able to solve the solution that they set out to solve, or the challenge that they set out to solve.
Yeah, we hear that all the time, and that's got to be tough, especially for the person buying it. And I know we're going to talk a little about what those costs are. So there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, that's a great segue. Let's talk about number 2. What is this really going to cost you out of, budget, time, people, even your reputation? What's the true cost to you? And how do you approach that?
Well, and it's exactly all those things, because it's not just the costs as you think about issuing an RFP or conducting a vendor evaluation. Is how is this vendor going to work with me truly as a partner? Like, are they going to create a joint execution or close plan or help me buy? Are they going to be respectful of my time and follow up efficiently? Are they going to help provide the numbers early on in a conversation to help me budget for not just maybe my initial use case or proof of concept or proof of value, but really an enterprise rollout? And then how have they worked with other customers like me, buyers like me? Do they have legitimate references? Can I speak to other people? Am I the first person that's ever bought this? And what's their reputation been for delivering quality products? You mentioned Aware has a great track record of delighting customers and growing accounts that's well known. That's got to be really critical and part of not just what you're buying, but part of your buying process to make that an evaluation criteria that you target.
Right, and when you speak about cost, there's really that cost of, maybe you're setting out to solve multiple challenges, and if so, are you able to find a vendor who can satisfy multiple challenges? Because there's the cost of managing multiple vendors. It's, how many people and resources are needed to really manage these, not just manage the execution, manage the project, but also the total cost involved with it, the actual, like, contract cost of having multiple vendors. So what are your thoughts on finding vendors who can really solve multiple needs now and in the future?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always going to be changing, right? So it's critical to find a vendor that's not just going to meet your needs today, but as your use case expands, as it moves from a line of business to everyone in your company, as an acquisition has a new technology stack come in that needs to be integrated, it's really important to be able to bring other lines of business together to support what you're building and to make sure you're able to share not just the build out but maybe the cost, the budget, the plan with them. And you really need to have the right partner who is aligned to making sure you're going to be successful. And like one thing I look for too from a vendor perspective as an enterprise buyer is also to see how the person on the other side is going to be mapping to me. Like, do they have an executive sponsor program, for example, where a team does? Makes it so much easier to buy if you're able to interact with a peer who has the same needs as you do in their day to day, who is able to talk to you peer to peer on what to expect using the technology, how it's going to work for you. If you can find that person, it just makes things so much easier. It's also a hallmark of a really good partner to work from.
Yeah, and I love that you're thinking ahead of what are the future needs and where are things going, because that really leads into our next question to ask is, can we innovate together? Can you innovate with this vendor who, this true partner? Does the roadmap look like? What's coming? How can you help innovate and share and really drive that roadmap?
And this is key because it not only is a technology roadmap these days, but it has to be a roadmap for innovation and for people. How are you going to be able to make sure that people who are using the technology and using these solutions are actually going to be successful? So, to me, this starts with making sure that innovation obviously has to be delivered. So, you have to have a great implementation plan to make sure you're going to get to value quickly and that the partner you're engaging with and buying with, they need to have a plan to make sure you're going to be 100% successful as soon as you can be, because you don't want to be in a world where there's promises being made and everything's on the roadmap or in a future phase. Like, you got to nail phase one. But once you do that, it really becomes an ongoing dialogue. And this can be part of not only a customer success process, but also an innovation process where you're sharing your needs and your goals back to your partner, back to the vendor, and they're able to connect that into their innovations and their roadmap. And in a best case scenario, this can start to look like and feel like, maybe even a design partner program or an early adopter program is part of it, where you are co-innovating together. And it's not just talking about the future of things that could exist on a potential roadmap. It's really about making sure what's on the roadmap resonates with you and it's clear how you're going to get value from it because it's connected to what you want to do.
Right, and that's something that we work really hard to accomplish at Aware. We do have our innovation customers who we work very closely with. The product team and the customer success team work hand in hand as we're thinking about and planning for new features or new, just new technologies that we look to integrate. We work really hard to make sure that their voice, our customers' voice, is heard and their needs. And many times what they do is they bring us these ideas, and as we vet them, they're actually really important to the future of our business. And so the fact that we can make that happen together, and it helps make Aware and our platform stronger and better, but it also really helps the customer, and for them to solve their challenges, but for them to also feel like this is a true partnership and they're being heard, and we're not just taking an order and saying, "Yep, we'll think about that on the roadmap," and never actually doing anything with that information.
100%. And it's so great to hear that you have those structured programs. Any vendor, any partner can treat just you special, but you want to make sure that those are going to be durable programs, whether that's a customer advisory board or even, asking a partner, what's your strategy to use Slack Connect with me? How are we going to stay connected, through this process, through delivery, through continued innovation together? Absolutely be using some of the new technology that Slack has to make that possible and to drive that continued conversation.
Yeah, I love that, and that feeds in a little bit into the next question, around, will you make me look like a hero? Help me navigate internally. And I love this. I love this transition because one of the things that we do at Aware is we do use Slack Connect with all of our customers, and that actually starts pre-sales. That starts in the very early conversations because that really helps us work together to solidify and help our champion on the customer side navigate the internal process of what it looks like to bring in a new technology.
Yeah, and I think, well, other than being a great plumber, Mario really is a hero. Not only does he rescue the kingdom, but he saves everyone in the process. This is what a great partnership looks like. So if we could have all of our partners out there be more like Mario, I'd be really happy. I don't always need plumbers, but I'll take it. The other thing I would add when you think about how to be made a hero is, are there examples of other customers or other people in your role that they've taken through a similar process? And do you feel like that was a proactive or reactive model? Like, are you being sold to, or are they helping you buy? And I think all of us, especially as an enterprise buyer, I love when my partners are helping me acquire their technology because it's helping me solve business problems, right? And
Mhm.
they're making me successful throughout the process. We're continually checking in to make sure that their products are meeting my goals and my objectives. Easiest sale, if you're one of these works me, you know why. This is why easy sales to make, and exactly why partners out there have an opportunity to drive, making their customer be a hero. It's easy.
Right, and I think there's an important distinction to make, and that's really when we're talking about partners and vendors in this situation, we're talking about strategic vendor relationships. This is not, I think you called it once, the buy me a burrito bot. This is really
Yeah,
how do you really bring on strategic technology and how do you approach the partners there? And I
yeah.
think that's a big point to make because what you should expect out of a vendor who is maybe just implementing a very simple kind of like culture fun bot versus somebody who is really going to help you um, bring your company forward. That's much different expectations.
Yeah, it totally is. And I think, what we're sharing today, this is how you evaluate a technology like Aware or Box. If you need the Buy Me a Burrito bot, you absolutely should go get that. You probably don't need to put it through the same 7 levels of scrutiny that we've talked about today. But you'll have the best burrito bot on the planet, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And then, the other thing that we talked about a little bit previously, before this session was really just being able to feel like you trust this person to um, be presentable inside the organization, not just guiding you through it, but actually being able and comfortable to put them out in front of your boss's boss, or even further up the chain.
Yeah, and it's not just, do I trust this person to be excellent at their job? Because I think at some level, as professionals, we expect that from the people we work with. It's, are they going to make me look good, and are they going to represent the values that I care about, that my company cares about, that my boss cares about, that our customers and our organization care about? Do I feel good engaging with this partner, giving them my business, partnering with them closely? It has to be a two-way street, and there absolutely is a cultural or feelings component about it, because if you don't feel good about the partner and the people that you're engaging with, and they're not making you feel the same way, well, who's going to get that C-level executive meeting? It's probably not going to be them, unless you in your whole heart trust that they're going to be there to make you successful and have your back the whole way through the process. It's no secret, but like, maybe it just needs to be said.
Yeah, exactly. And that does lead a little bit, and we touched on a few things from this last question of how will you mind the gap? How do you approach that time between purchase and implementation? And you mentioned that in this, make me a hero will help me navigate the buying process and really help me to be a buyer. And that's part of minding the gap, but I think it actually does go beyond that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Totally. Well, I love that that guy was doing parkour. I thought about this. I was in London and I saw the Mind the Gap sign. I was like, it's a really good analogy for that time in between either an initial evaluation and a purchase, or a purchase and a go live. So there's like both two gaps in a customer journey and also in a buyer's journey that they need to be aware of. So first, when you're actually working through internally your evaluation process, your procurement process, I think it's really important to have defined steps for a proof of value. I'd imagine, most things you'd find in the App Store, especially in Slack, the concept has been proven, y'all. So I think we know these things work. It's really, is it going to be valuable for you, for your organization, for the problems you're trying to solve? So having a structured POC is absolutely one thing I like as a buyer. Like, help me buy. Like, tell me what the steps are, how long they're going to take, and how we're going to evaluate. Love it. So great. But if you can also do that, that's going to shorten my time to value. So that's one thing to think of. Another that I love, I mentioned earlier, is having a subject matter expert program.
Mhm.
Having someone that I can work with, or if you're like on the legal team, being able to speak to a general counsel, you can do with Aware. That's so useful through the purchasing process. It really like demystifies and de-risks a lot of things for someone whose name's going to be on the contract. So if you have some of those things, the ability to not have that gap at all, you go right over it. It's like a sidewalk. It's not, you don't have to parkour over it. It's very easy.
Yeah, no, and that's so true, and that's something that I'm pretty proud that we've been able to accomplish at Aware is that we do have a subject matter expert across various, different parts of our business from, legal and compliance to really more of that information security. We have, we can tap into our network of CIOs and really beyond, and that's what we wanna be there for our partners and for our potential customers and our existing customers, and let them lean on us as a resource to help them understand how others are handling similar situations, as well as to connect them with our other customers. Some of the best value is getting two customers in a room and letting them talk about the challenges that they share and how they're solving them using the same platform in this case, which is Aware.
100%. And I'd also want to shout out as well, the incredible network of customer success managers and leaders out there. So as part of the partnership process, the buying, the evaluation process, to me, when a customer success manager shows up earlier in the process, that tells me a lot of actually really good things about how important I'm going to be and feel. And it's a
Mhm.
great conversation to have. Like, I don't think it's okay to just assume that every partner out there has a great customer success strategy, because it may not be the right fit for you. So
Right.
part of asking in the evaluation process, how's my account going to be treated after once the contract is done? Do you never call me for 3 years? This is going to be an ongoing thing, especially for some of the products and platforms that do require organizational change and have like really important human components to it. This is super critical because technology doesn't deploy itself. People don't change for no particular reason at all. You really need to put the human side of this first. And if you do that, you can actually get all the value that you've been promised, and not only realize it, but do it in a spectacular fashion.
Well, I love that segue because I threw in a little bit of a bonus in here. Do you actually want to work with this person? This is
Yeah.
a human that you have to work with on a regular basis. How do you feel about that? And that can make a big impact on whether a partnership is successful or not.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is, if the last few years proven anything, that we have an almost unlimited amount of choices in this. So, yeah, not only who you buy from, how you feel about it, how you engage them, check the app reviews, do your homework. We live in an age where this information is more readily available, and, make sure you personally feel good about who you're working with and how they're going to represent you, not just initially, but as throughout your life cycle, really as partners, not just vendors, but
Right.
true strategic partners.
Exactly. And that's just it. Let's maybe recap those couple of questions, but the major five things. Can you meet my non-negotiables? Can you meet my table stakes? What is this going to really cost me in time and people and resources? And can we innovate together? What does the future look like? I might be buying one thing now, but what does it look like in the future for my needs and as your company or your product and platform change? Will you make me look like a hero? I think that's really important to many buyers because oftentimes they're having to work an uphill battle and sell something, so they need somebody that can help support them through that, and then somebody that can really help them, mind the gap, if you will, from the start of the conversations all the way through seeing, that real implementation and time to action. And so I appreciate your time, Dan. This has been really an engaging conversation, and I love that we were able to pull in this human aspect because, like we said, that's the bonus, but it's so important. Having somebody that you like to work with is gonna make or break a successful partnership.
100%. It's why I like working with you, Betsy, the Aware team, and I was happy to participate with you today. This was great.
Amazing, and likewise. So I really appreciate your time, Dan, and, if anyone from the audience has any thoughts, questions, we would love to hear them. Feel free to reach out to Dan or myself on LinkedIn, and you can always find, Aware at awarehq.com, and Dan, I'm sure everyone knows where to find Box.
Yeah, box.com, or, I'm sure you have 100 around your house, but specifically box.com. Yes.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Dan.